Yeah, this is a good point to bury bad news about when the death of Bin Laden, and with all the euphoria, the details shall be get lost in the strands of history. That's what they're hoping. That's what they're hoping, that they can bury the memory of the Bin Laden crime family in our minds with the death of Osama bin Laden, so that they can let Osama bin Laden's family get away with 9/11, so that they can let Osama bin Laden and the Saudi royal family get away with it, and maybe even let them back into the international system. This is my greatest fear. My greatest fear. There is also other news to go through on the subject, which I'll just find. Right, this is by Deborah Hayes of the Times. The death of Osama bin Laden will speed the exit of British troops and US troops from Afghanistan as London and Washington explore a rare success to end the increasingly unaffordable and unpopular missions. Will this be because they want to invade Saudi Arabia, as I've been arguing for the past 4 years? I doubt it. But I hope they will use those troops in a better way to deal with the problem, to end this war the only way it could have been ended, and that is by the invasion of Saudi Arabia, or the democratic revolution in Saudi Arabia with the Arab Spring. Deborah Hayes continues, hunting down the AlQueada leader was a core goal of the 2001 invasion to topple the Taliban. That's Operation Anaconda. With Bin Laden out of the way, US and British politicians and military leaders will craft their narrative to play down the threat posed by Al-Qaeda. They are going to let the Bin Laden crime family try and get away with it, because they're still frightened of. They still want to protect their families from the Bin Ladens. That's what I'm fearing is happening. And the need to maintain a large military footprint. Indeed, there is already growing talk of an accelerated timeline to hand authority to the Afghans, though little will have changed on the ground. Bin Laden's death will do nothing to boost the competence of the Afghan army or police, and it will affect the corruption. Nor will it affect the corruption and incompetence that plague the Afghan government. That we are complicit in this. We know that Kabul and Mohammed Karzai are drug dealers. We know that they are selling drugs to the West. All of this, is sucker to the conspiracy theorists out there who believe that Bin Laden did not do 9/11. This is not true. Bin Laden did do 9/11. I know it for a fact. I can't go into the details of that, obviously. Handing authority to the Afghans, though little will have changed on the ground. Bin Laden's death will do nothing to boost the competence of the Afghan army and police, nor will it affect the corruption and incompetence that plagued the Afghan government. Most likely his death will fuel terrorist activity in Afghanistan as supporters plot reprisal attacks, but these inconveniences will doubtlessly be fudged in the scramble for exit, and Britain and the US could more effectively utilise the billions spent in Afghanistan on fighting the growing scourge of Al-Qaeda-inspired jihadism in other hotspots. This does not mean ending operations in Afghanistan, though. Altogether, the operation to kill Bin Laden, mounted initially from Bagram Air Base near Kabul, demonstrates how useful it is to maintain a presence in Afghanistan, but it will get most troops out of the way quicker, as a new terrorist order without Bin Laden creates new challenges elsewhere. So, they are still thinking strategically about Afghanistan as the gateway to Central Asia, and also the block of Pakistan in the way. But why are they doing this? Because of Iran, obviously. If there is no if there is an Arab Spring, but there is no Iranian Spring. You know, the Iranians are a Indo-European people, but their democratic credentials are quite slim at the moment. Although there is the Green Revolution that's still going on. You know, the US is still belligerent against Iran, although Iran is trying to blockade the West in some way because the Europeans are getting oil from Iran and the Turkey's getting oil from Iran, more Turkey than the Europeans. The Europeans are trying to use the carrot and the stick method of sanctions and try and bring Iran in. Of course, why is Iran important? Iran is important because they are the chief enemy of the Saudi and Binladen crime families in the Middle East itself, without the existential threat of the West to those crime families. You know, if Hezbollah was to go on the rampage against AlQueada, then surely we would be killing two birds with one stone. But the Iranians are too smart to do this. But the Arab Spring has left, interestingly, Hezbollah completely isolated because it's out of kilter as much as Al-Qaeda is out of kilter with the aspirations of the Arab Spring, the democratic Arab revolutions, who are calling for liberty, equality, human rights, all these things they are calling for. They're not calling for an Islamic caliphate, whether it's a Sunni caliphate or a Shia caliphate or an Alawi caliphate in Syria. They're not calling for that. They're not calling for the fractionality of the past and the tribalism of the past. They're calling for secular, democratic government which are legitimate and under the rule of law. And this is all because of the effect of the European Union, in my view. The weight of the European Union's legal, military, because it's the second largest after China, its economic weight, its legal weight, is drawing North Africa and the Middle East into a North African Union and a Middle Eastern Union, which may include Turkey and Iran as well. It's linked with the European Union, but it's also to deal with immigration. It's to keep the people in their respective countries there, because their civilization and their standard of living will be as good as the Western civilization. That's the project, you know, and that's where the United States, I think, has finally come on board with the European Union. So how do we defeat Al-Qaeda? We're breaking every link that they have with reality, and controlling and dominating the spatial area of war in the Middle East. We're breaking their links with the civil population because of the Arab Spring. We're breaking their ability to communicate by turning their couriers or killing their couriers or capturing their couriers. We're stopping them from, they can't use electronic or codes or coding devices because those will be intercepted. All they have is their primitive feudal, their technological advantage in oil production, their feudalistic crime family base in Saudi Arabia, which may be undermined by a new Arab Spring in Saudi Arabia, which is what I'm counting on, hoping on, and praying for, so that there will not have to be an invasion of Saudi Arabia. Many people are doing the same thing. How did they do 9/11? In my view, they used corridor of fear tactics to make the guards of the buildings in 9/11 disregard their duties, because people love their families, they don't want to see their families killed. That's what the Bin Ladens do. They're evil, tyrannical people who kill people's families, and they're evil bastards. That's why I've got a series called Bin Laden Evil Bastards, so check it out. It will give you much more information than the Financial Times or the Times, although those are good sources of information.